Well, hey neighbors, welcome to the Shed Shop. That's right, the title's correct. We're going to talk about that great debate of whether or not you should use gasket dressing or gasket sealant when you install non-rubber gaskets. In this application, we're going to be talking about a STIHL 028 and the crankcase gasket. But first, I got to say thank you to all the current subscribers and all the new subscribers. Many of you have your subscriptions to the default setting that YouTube has, and that is that every time you subscribe to a channel, it remains private. And so some of you, I cannot see that you're subscribers, but to all of you, thank you very much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the comments and the likes and following along on the channel. And I'm giving shit away. We're going to be working on the Husqvarna 240 very soon. I had it on the bench the other day, and some other things came up. And so hopefully after neighbor Eric's saw, we're going to get to that one. Next, guess what, neighbors? You know me. I got to tell the story. And then we're going to get to the work. Okay. So first off, let me tell you about neighbor Eric and what he purchased from me. Neighbor Eric called me several weeks back, maybe almost 2 months ago now, I think. And had some saws he wanted to trade. He had a 290, which has been on the channel, Nightmare Crashing Halt, scored cylinder. And he also had a little Husqvarna. And so we agreed on a trade price for his saw, and we agreed on a price for my saws. And basically, those saws, I had been compiling parts for both of these 028s. And I'll put a link in the description down below to a video called, Yeah, I Dropped a Tree on Her, John Doe. I can't remember the title exactly, but I'll have the link in the description for you neighbors, I promise. And that crankcase right now is the one we're working on. And I'll also try and have a link at some point to help you find the story of this saw and the struggle that I've had with the clutch. I have the footage, but I haven't made a playlist as I record this video yet for it, and it's not all made public yet. So eventually I want to organize it for you guys as we continue to try and grow the channel and get things organized and bring you products. And I'm working hard to start a website. So that being said, that is this crankcase. And Eric knew the story on the saws, and he purchased the saws. And basically, we're now upgrading this one to a super top end because we did that because we didn't think we were going to be able to get the clutch off of this damn thing, which meant we couldn't use it because we couldn't put in our brand new crankshaft seals, okay? And so now we have the clutch off, though, and you haven't seen that story yet, but you will, okay? So, essentially, I'm kind of glad that all that happened because when I did discover, when I took this saw apart, that's why when a saw hasn't been started in 20 years, dummy, neighbor Matthew, you don't start it, even though you just want to see if it'll start without you doing anything to it, because some stuff built up on the inside, and I'm not comfortable selling that cylinder anymore. At least at this point, there's just a little bit of transfer way up at the top, and I found on the side of the piston there was a little bit of transfer. So essentially, we have scratched using that top end. And I've got an 028 super top end that we're going to install a brand new meteor piston in for neighbor Eric, okay? Meteor piston with caber rings, okay? I decided not to use the piston that was on this 028 top end either. I have honed his cylinder. And so with all of that, that is just a brief, short version of the story of neighbor Eric. He's been waiting 8 weeks. Part of that was STIHL has made a lot of the 028 parts obsolete as of this year, and so we couldn't get a lot of the parts that I normally was able to get the year before very easily to work on these saws. You'd be surprised I can't even get OEM fuel lines for these anymore. And on vintage saws, I didn't like going with aftermarket fuel lines even. I like to keep them OEM if I can without losing money. And so, nonetheless, basically, you guys, that is essentially where we're at. Now, let's get to what the title is about. Gasket sealant, to use or not to use? Well, I can tell you there's two main opinions if you haven't figured it out. One is, yeah, you should always use it. Two is, no, you don't need it. But isn't there always a gray area, Neighbor Matthew? Well, there sure is. There's some people that say you should only use it if you're reusing your gasket. There's some people that say if you're using a new gasket, there should be no need for the gasket sealant. And some people say that's not true because you have to have the gasket sealant because it fills in all the little cracks and crevices. Well, now, damn it, I'm not a scientist, and I would love, damn, to talk to the people that have written the instructions on how to use this stuff, at least the permatext, because essentially it tells you to allow enough time for the entire product to evaporate. That's the word it uses, evaporate. Okay, so as of my knowledge today, remember, I'm no certified mechanic. I'm no scientist. All I have is a damn high school diploma. And I went to college for a year and got a divorce and never finished. Okay? So, what I say is just an opinion. It's just like my asshole. You got one, I got one, we all got one, pretty much. Okay? So, essentially, you do your research and you decide what you want to do, because I am sometimes wrong. We are having a discussion about tank vents right now, and Magic One, I hope you'll send me a link to the video that she was talking about those tank vents in, because as I said, sometimes it's hard for somebody to understand your point of view or what you're saying if you don't give all the tiny little details, because you make assumptions that they might know those little details. Okay, so moving on back to the gasket sealant. Let's see, what does our handy dandy, trusty STIHL 028 service manual say about putting a crankcase gasket on a STIHL? It says, coat the sealing faces of both crankcase halves with sealing paste, part number 0783-810-1101. Chainsaw Redeemer has requested his steel buddy, parts guy, at Ace, to order me some of that, so we can look at it, neighbors, together and see, in 1980, what the hell were they using? But, moving on, the part number. But then, what's it say? If available, period. So let's read that again without the part number. Coat the sealing faces of both crankcase halves with sealing paste if available. Fit new gasket on crankcase at ignition side and drive in cylindrical pins until they project about 1 millimeter and thus hold the gasket. The rest of it is irrelevant. It's just saying align it and then trim your gasket where your cylinder sits on your saw if you have to. Okay, so neighbors, here's our gasket. Okay, trying to get you to see. Right there, it even says right on it. Damn it. It says right on it. Damn it. 028. Boom. Look at that. Made in the USA. Okay, so what's the Chainsaw Redeemer going to do? It says to put it on a crankcase halves. I'm not going to do that. It says to use it if it's available. Want my opinion? It makes my life easier most times when you're applying a thin-ass piece of paper like this. It helps hold your gasket in place. Also, the rest of my opinion is this says dressing and sealant. So, part of it that does not evaporate, which must be in the airtight cracks and crevices that can be formed when you crush two pieces of metal together, there might be little hairline passages. Okay? So, my thought is, why the hell would you not use this? It's insurance. I hate paying for insurance, but insurance has definitely made my life better in the past when I wrecked my vehicle because somebody else is being a damn idiot and doesn't have insurance. Okay? So, let's get to work, damn it. I'm going to turn you down to the bench, and we're going to put neighbor Eric's crankcase together, his 1986 STIHL 028 wood boss that, yeah, John Doe said I dropped a tree on her 20 years ago, and I ain't started it since. We started it on a channel, and I'll have the link to that video down below for you. It wasn't that long, and you can enjoy it, okay? Let's get to work, damn it. Okay, here we are. Here is your saw neighbor Eric. Okay, I probably could have done a little better job cleaning, but neighbor, I'm only one guy. And we're never going to see that spot again unless we take our recoil cover off. And actually, I will take the air compressor because I forgot. This is all probably dry and hard now. I'm still waiting on gaskets for my oil pumps, but nonetheless, we'll spray all that off. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I already have my cylindrical pins that it's talking about in my crankcase, and as you can see, well, you might not be able to see, but they are protruding into that side just a little bit, but they're almost where they need to be. And then once I have this screwed together, I will set them perfectly with my little punch here. Okay, so basically, here is how I like to apply my gasket dressing slash sealant slash gasket paste, as sealing paste, I'm sorry, as the service manual is calling it. Okay, I will do an update video hopefully one day when I get that stuff from STIHL. I like to put it on a piece of cardboard, okay, and just a very thin coat. You really do only need a thin coat of this stuff, okay, neighbors? You don't need a lot, okay? And we'll just spread that evenly. It's okay if you get it on the cardboard. The reason I don't put it on the crankcase is, as you can see, it's a very thin spot. And for me, at least, if I have a brush available, which I don't right now, I like to use these brushes, but I didn't feel like going in a Dollar Tree today, so I do not have any more. If I have a brush, sometimes I might apply it direct to the case, but this is an easy way to do it, and I use enough of this stuff that I don't mind wasting a little bit. It's not going to hurt my feelings none. Okay, so now once I've got it to that side, and what I did is I already knew what side I needed to put this on because I put it on my crankcase to verify, and then took it off and flipped it and verified again. Okay, so now I've got my thin coat. Okay, like I said, you don't need a lot. You do want it even, but you don't need a lot. Okay, and then essentially I'm trying to quickly get this off of my fingers. Okay, and then basically we'll just take our crankcase here. We'll set this on over our 2 pins, and we'll press it down, making sure that our screw holes align. Each one, you got to have each screw hole aligned. Sometimes what I'll do is, if I have to, I can put the screws in there to also help hold it if I don't have pins, if it's an application like that. Okay, this is a well-made gasket. I cannot remember if it was OEM or not. I just went on eBay and found a gasket because I don't usually particularly care if it's OEM or not, as long as it fits right. Most gasket paper is kind of universal. It just depends that it's the right thickness and the right kind of gasket material. Okay, so now that we've got that stuck on, essentially what we can do is we can go ahead and now apply it to this side of the gasket. And I'm going to be a little more careful this time, okay? The reason I didn't flip it on my cardboard is because it will stick to the cardboard, and it will also remove the gasket maker. Okay, the important thing is, I forgot to get my Q-tips. Here we go. You don't want to leave any residual inside your oil tank and stuff. You want to make sure you get the residual off. On the outside, it's not so much important. I don't like to leave the residual because it can cause problems. It can goop up, and it can get caught in fuel or the oil pickup body and whatnots. And then the other important area is inside your crankcase. You don't want to leave any residual, okay? And if you're building a brand new saw, you don't want to leave any residual at all, okay? Because it's got to look nice, damn it. All right, we're almost there, neighbors. Hope you guys are still paying attention, damn it. Did you fall asleep yet? Shit. Sorry, that was mean. I like to fall asleep to some of the guys that talk about chainsaws. I'm not saying they're boring, but some of us, this is a meditative state to watch somebody do this, and we can just go to sleep. Be like, yeah, you're right, man. Oh, no, he shouldn't be doing that way. Oh, that's not the way I would do it. Oh, that's stupid. That guy don't know what he's doing. Now that we've got that on there, not perfect, but you know what? The service manual says if available to use it. we had it available. Not perfect, but I think it'll be just fine. Now what we're going to do is they do have a press that they say you can use with this. But you can also just use your screws to get your crankcase pressed together. Okay, you just have to screw them absolutely perfectly evenly. Alright, first I am going to, damn it, I thought I had it enough to where I was going to be able to get it on the pins at least, but I guess not. So, we'll get our T27, we'll just get one screw started here. Hopefully. Okay, we got it started. I just want a couple threads. Alright, and then I'm going to go down here in this corner. Just get a couple threads to grab. Okay, get one in our center here. Okay, now that we got those, I want to get all my bolts started, and then I'm literally going to go in essentially a star pattern in the center here, and also work my outside ones here as well. Okay. Okay, I feel like there's something inside the head of my bolt here. There was a wood chip in it, damn it. I couldn't get my damn screwdriver in. Oh no, the wrong one came out. Damn. Alright, neighbors, I'll have to get these two started. Choo. Alright, that one started. That one's good. Alright, the only thing I have is I have an issue with this one, I think. No, there it goes. Okay. So essentially, I'm literally going to go a few turns at a time on each screw, because it is important. Even though I have that gasket sealer on there, it should be fine. It is important to get these tightened down evenly. Whoops. So each time I go in, I can feel the looseness, see, like right there. And then I'll just go like a full turn each. Everything's snugged up still. Okay. So we'll go another full turn here. Another full turn here. And then back here. A little bit more there. It's going awful loose. Okay, I'm just looking. I need to go more on this side first. Okay, I'm going more on the back because it's not going down quite even over here. So we're catching it up, and then we'll go back over to the front. Snug these two up here. And I'm going to pop all the way to my front again. And these will probably be plenty loose again. Yep, see that? Okay, almost there, neighbors. Wonder how long of wrench turning I'll be cutting out of this. All right. Now, essentially, I can tell you it says to tighten this down to 4.9 Newton. I think NM is like Newton meters or something, but it's 4.9 NM or 0.5 kpm. Most guys don't have a torque wrench, not a torque screwdriver readily available to them, and I have not purchased one yet because they are not cheap, and the one that is only $70 is not very good, so I will not buy it. So what do I always say, guys? It's a German chainsaw. Tighten it to Guten tight. If you do all your bolts to Guten tight, you'll be fine. Just consider the application. This is a crankcase. We want it jet tight. Okay, we do not want to break our bolts. We do not want to strip our bolts. They are self-tapping bolts, but we still want it jet tight. Okay? Or, I mean, they are torque bolts. Damn it, what did I say? You can kind of hear that last little turn. You can kind of hear it, feel it seating itself, locking right into place. And that's going to be it, I think. There you go, neighbor Eric. Here's your crankcase, neighbor. Your 1986 with the crankshaft, neighbor. I think the crankshaft was plenty good, so I decided to reuse it, neighbor. I examined it. I think it's okay. As I say that, why are you not spinning? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we have a problem. Damn. Yeah, something's not right. Okay. Something's not right. I thought I had checked everything. Okay. Gonna pause you, neighbors. Let me see what's going on. Okay, so essentially, when I had split the crankcase, I do recollect I tried to take the clutch off, and so my crankcase was not quite, or my crankshaft was not quite fully centered. It just needed to go literally a semi-fraction that way. I am going to have to essentially, I'm going to have to get out my mics and measure a few things, just because if this is not centered, his saw is ruined once we fired it up. If this arm is not properly centered between these two outside parts of where our jug sits, guys. I'm sorry. Sometimes I have a hard time explaining things. Okay, our jug's going to sit on top here. Think about if that arm is off-centered. That means your piston's off-centered, and it's going to rub harder on one side, and it's going to ruin it. Look, I honed this thing, and I think it came out pretty nice. I always get nervous about honing these old cylinders. I don't know why. But I think it looks good. Okay. Feels good. So essentially, I'm just going to sit here. I really have to take I'll mark a few things. I'll measure it with my mics, and I'll verify that his arm is centered, his crankshaft, I'm sorry, is centered inside his crankcase, and we should be good to go. Okay, so well, hell, I thought I paused it. I'll have to edit all that turning around out. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'll leave it in there just for funnies. So, in closing, what was this video about, neighbors? Well, hell, it had a story in it. It had a little bit of an update in it. It had the title. Gasket sealant. To use or not to use? That is the question. Like I said, neighbors, do your own research and make your own decision. Ask professionals. Ask backyard mechanics too, because most of the shit I've learned that's actually correct, I learned from backyard mechanics. I can also say some of the shit I've learned that is incorrect has been from listening to backyard mechanics. That's why I say you have to make your own informed decision, because sometimes even the smartest people might give you misinformation on YouTube, and some of them are doing it knowingly, and some of them might innocently be either misexplaining something or have been misinformed themselves and think they're doing something according to the way it's supposed to be done by the people that made this shit, okay? And the people that made this shit might not have made the best way to do these things. So make your own decisions, and that's going to be it. Until next time, be kind to one another. Everyone's facing a battle, and the Chainsaw Redeemer loves all 8 billion of you, damn it. And hopefully my card is at the end of this video for you, okay? Take care, neighbors.